Hey there, Sagittarius. How are you doing today? I'm so happy you're joining me for your comprehensive tarot reading, relevant for the first half of May 2025. I've cleared the energy in this space and meditated on your cards, connecting to the vibrations that resonate with your Sagittarius spirit. Let's kick off by unlocking the affirmation that's whispering to you most clearly now. I am committed to living my best life. This phrase has selected you, so say it with me, either in a whisper or with confidence, and let its peaceful energy envelop you. I am committed to living my best life. I am committed to living my best life. Now let's begin your reading by drawing the 3 key tarot cards that will guide you through these 2 weeks. We have the Lovers, 10 of Swords, and 8 of Wands. Accompanying these is the oracle card Swan from the Spirit Animal Wisdom deck. As for your tea leaf fortune card, it is Hat. First up is the Lovers. When this card appears for you, it's rarely just about romance, though that certainly can be part of it. It often points to a crossroads where you're invited to align mind, body, and spirit. Maybe around May 1st, you feel pulled to make a choice between 2 paths. One could be a project that lights you up with passion. The other might promise steady security, but feel a bit tame. You might notice yourself hesitating when someone new shows up in your life. Or you could be weighing whether to deepen a connection that's been blossoming. For a Sagittarius, that impulse toward freedom and exploration can clash with the safety you suddenly crave. Ask yourself, where in your life are you craving deeper connection, and where are you guarding your independence? Have you ever held back from a relationship or opportunity because you were afraid of losing your sense of adventure? Moving deeper, the Lovers also speaks to the harmony between your inner masculine and feminine energies. You might be juggling work ambitions with personal dreams. Maybe you've been elbow deep in a career shift, trying to prove something to yourself, only to realize you've been neglecting your own self-care or creative spark. I've seen clients finally pause their relentless hustle just enough to remember that laughter with friends, quiet mornings with a cup of tea, or dancing around the living room also count as sacred work. Can you sense where you've been forcing things instead of moving with ease? What would happen if you allowed yourself to lean more into joy and intuition rather than logic alone? Next in our story is the 10 of Swords. It's a tough one to pull, I won't lie. This card often marks a moment of hitting rock bottom. But here's the blessing. Rock bottom has an upside, because once you've hit it, there's nowhere to go but up. Picture someone wrapping up a job that's drained them for months, or finally ending a friendship that's turned toxic. In real life, I've seen Sags feel betrayed by circumstances or by people they trusted, and it can feel like a sword to the heart. But bear in mind, the darkest hour is just before the dawn. It's in this painful end that you find the clarity to rebuild something truer to your soul. Have you ever had to let go of something painful only to discover you were making space for something far more beautiful? Think about how the 10 of Swords interacts with the Lovers. You may face a choice that feels like a betrayal of your own heart, but maybe it's simply tearing away what no longer belongs. I remember one client who clung to a high-pressure job because it had the title she thought she wanted, only to burn out completely. Once she let it go, she found herself designing a small workshop series that felt like pure magic. Are there areas where you're resisting an ending because you're worried you won't land on your feet? What if that ending is actually your green light for something you've dreamed about but never dared to start? Then we have the 8 of Wands. This is one of my favorite cards for you because it speaks to speed, momentum, and messages coming in fast. After the release of the 10 of Swords, expect news or opportunities to arrive in rapid succession. It could be an unexpected email from a mentor, a sudden invitation to travel, or a burst of creative energy where ideas just pour out of you. For a Sag who loves variety and movement, this is your moment to lean into the surge. Imagine standing at a train station with multiple platforms, every train whistling and ready to depart. You might feel a rush of possibilities, but remember you still get to choose which train to board. Have you noticed any invitations or ideas popping up all at once? Which one makes your heart pound fastest when you think about saying yes? The Eight of Wands also brings a sense of clarity, where you felt foggy or stuck in April. By mid-May, you could find yourself racing ahead with newfound confidence. I once had a friend who spent weeks agonizing over the wording of a book proposal. In one afternoon of channeling Eight of Wands energy, she banged out a first draft and sent it off. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and that authenticity captured an editor's heart. What project have you been overthinking that needs your bold Sag spirit to just hit send? I hope you're finding this reading meaningful. Let me know with a like and subscribe to the channel. Now let's weave in the Swan Oracle. This beautiful creature asks you to soften your heart and trust your intuition. Think of seeing a swan glide effortlessly across a lake, even though it's paddling fiercely beneath the surface. You might be working harder than people realize, but the invitation here is to find your flow. Let your decisions come from a place of grace rather than force. Imagine you're dancing, and every step comes naturally without planning every move. Have you been bulldozing through challenges when a gentler approach could serve you better? In what ways can you invite more compassion for yourself right now? Maybe through a morning ritual, journaling, or simply steeping better tea. Swan energy can also guide you through the transformation hinted at by the Ten of Swords. Rather than guarding your heart against future hurts, you're being asked to open it wider. When you allow yourself to trust, you create a field of love that attracts exactly what you need. I remember guiding a Sag client who'd been shy about sharing her writing. She started posting little poems online with a promise to herself that she wouldn't judge the response. Within days, people were praising her honesty and vulnerability. What if your next leap forward began with a single act of trust in yourself? Finally, we pull the hat from the tea leaves. Hats are about the roles we play: teacher, student, partner, parent, creator. Combined with sunrise over the ocean, it suggests you're stepping into a fresh role in early May. Think back to those times you've donned a new hat. Maybe you volunteered to lead a team, or you started calling yourself an artist instead of a hobbyist. It can feel awkward at first because you haven't grown into it yet, but the sunrise promises it's a role born of new ideas and creation. Is there a title or identity you've been hesitant to claim? What if wearing that hat, even just around the house, helped you embody the energy you need? Putting it all together, here's the story for Sagittarius this first half of May. You begin with a choice, a heartfelt decision about where to place your energy and loyalties. Then you encounter what feels like an ending, something you might resist because it cuts deep. But thanks to Swan's grace, you're invited to right-size the pain and let your intuition guide the healing. Soon enough, momentum builds, and you're swept up by the Eight of Wands. Messages arrive, opportunities sprout wings, and you feel that Sagittarian spark of excitement blazing back to life. Through it all, you're slipping on a new hat, embracing a fresh role that feels like the natural next chapter. What might that chapter look like for you? Maybe you choose to end a partnership that's outlived its purpose. Lean into travel or writing that you've postponed, and step into the identity of a teacher or mentor for your community. Or perhaps you'll balance your thrill-seeking nature with a softer, more intuitive approach to self-care, allowing yourself to flow rather than push so hard. The question to hold as May unfolds is this: where are you being called to show up in a new role, with a gentler heart and an open mind? I can't wait to see how May blooms for you. Trust the flow, dear Sagittarius, and remember that even endings are just beginnings in disguise. Keep your heart soft, your arrows aimed true, and let your adventurous spirit carry you forward. If you feel called, leave a comment below about which role you're slipping into or what choice you're facing. I'm sending you so much light and cheering you on every step of the way. What if unlocking abundance was as simple as pressing play? The Money Wave is designed to reprogram your mind for wealth. Don't miss out. Check the link in the description. Now let's turn our attention to the central theme of love and relationships. Your true love oracle card is the Divine Feminine, and the tarot card is Nine of Wands. First comes the Nine of Wands, and I love how this card shows you still standing tall even after you've weathered your storms. In a love reading, it might mean you carried your guard a little higher than usual, Maybe you've been burned before, and now you're watching every word, every gesture, as if you're waiting for the next shoe to drop. Picture someone on a first date who keeps checking their phone, worried the other person might ghost them. Or perhaps you're in a long-term relationship, and you find yourself bristling at small misunderstandings, bracing for conflict because you've been through so much already. But here's the blessing. You're strong. You've learned what you will and won't accept, and that boundary setting is a gift, not a prison. On the flip side, the Nine of Wands can show you that you're so busy protecting yourself that you forget you deserve tenderness. I've seen friends decline invites because they're too wary of being let down, only to realize later they missed out on genuine connection. So ask yourself, where in your love life are you still clutching old hurts? What would it be like to lower the drawbridge just enough to let someone kind in? If you're already in a partnership, are you noticing how your partner steps up when you allow it, or are you holding back the invitation? Now let's bring in the Divine Feminine Oracle. This is the soft, abundant energy whispering that nurturing, patience, and trust can shift everything. You might feel the instinct to overgive or to wait anxiously for signs of commitment, but the feminine realm invites you to flow more than you force. It could look like choosing to really listen when your partner or friend speaks, instead of mentally scripting your response. It might mean trusting that a text reply will come in time, rather than crafting 12 drafts at 2 a.m. For some of you, it will mean leaning into creativity, writing a letter to your crush, cooking a meal for your housemate, or simply lighting a candle to honor your own capacity to love. This energy isn't about running yourself ragged by caretaking until you collapse. It's about feeling the rhythm of give and take, and knowing that the universe supports a win-win. I once guided a Sagittarius who was the sole emotional anchor in her circle. She'd host movie nights, lend a shoulder, drop everything to help, but she felt drained. When she leaned into this divine feminine vibe, she started asking for small things back. A coffee treat, a text check-in, a walk together. Suddenly she felt seen and valued, and her relationships deepened. Where might you invite a little more balance? In what ways could you share your needs with trust that they'll be met? Tie this back to our general reading for May. You began the month at a crossroads with the Lovers, faced an ending with the Ten of Swords, then felt that rush of opportunity in the Eight of Wands. Now this love reading shows you standing strong but perhaps weary, and the Divine Feminine urges you to soften. After that big sweep of endings and fresh starts, you might default to self-reliance, your natural Sag spirit, but you're being reminded that the most exciting journeys often happen in pairs or circles of support. Imagine you're wearing that new hat we saw in the tea leaves, stepping into a role as co-creator in your relationship, or as a brave friend who asks for help without shame. The swan's elegance from earlier wants you to glide, not sprint, so let this gentle feminine current carry you. If your heart trembles at the thought of vulnerability, remember that every brave beat is building a stronger foundation. So here's what to ponder as May unfolds. Where are you still bracing for impact instead of leaning into trust? How can you claim your new role as both warrior and nurturer? What happens if you choose to welcome warmth rather than prepare for the next sword? Maybe you decide to share one secret worry with someone safe, or you send a spontaneous voice memo instead of overthinking the text. Maybe you simply sit with your own heart, breathe deeply, and whisper, "I'm open." Whatever unfolds, know that your resilience and your capacity to love are your greatest allies. You have the strength of that Nine of Wands stance, and you also have the Divine Feminine's quiet magic guiding you toward harmony. Let May be a time when you walk forward with your head held high and your heart softened wide open. And now, the cards are ready to reveal insights about your career and education. Your Dreamweaver's Oracle card is, "If the dogs come circling round," and the Tarot card is, Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is here, cheering you on, a banner raised high to salute your wins, big and small. You might wake up one morning and find an email announcing your idea was accepted. Or maybe your manager gives you a nod in a meeting you wouldn't have dared to speak up in before. If you're in school, you could surprise yourself with a higher grade, or receive praise on a presentation you thought was just okay. I once worked with a Sagittarian grad student who'd been buried in data for months. She thought her advisor barely noticed her grind, But when she finally presented her findings, the room broke into applause, and that spark of recognition lit up her confidence for the next steps. But here's the twist. Sometimes the real victory is quieter. You might find that your peers start coming to you with questions, treating you like an unofficial coach. Maybe your teammates who used to brush past you at lunch suddenly want to hear your take on a project. That sense of being seen and valued can feel like a miracle after you've poured yourself into the trenches. In career or classes, notice where people lean in when you speak. What you think of as small insights might actually be gold to someone else. What have you downplayed that others might secretly admire? Now, the Oracle card, If the Dogs Come Circling Round, reminds you that recognition doesn't mean you're on your own. Even when deadlines loom or exams pile up, you're wrapped in a safety net of loyal friends, mentors, classmates, or colleagues who genuinely want to see you shine. You may spot a few naysayers sniffing around, maybe that inner critic whispering you're not enough, or a coworker who always seems to one-up you. But the magic lies in staying close to those who lift you up. Think of that study group that cheers you on at 2 a.m., or the colleague who keeps your favorite snack in their desk drawer on rough days. Who are those allies for you right now? How could leaning into that circle of support accelerate your progress? And remember, staying true to your values is part of this story. You're not chasing hollow praise. You want to win at something that truly lights you up. If you find yourself tempted to cut corners or mirror someone else's playbook just to impress, pause. You'll achieve far more satisfaction by playing to your own strengths, the Sagittarian love of adventure, big ideas, and honest conversation. I've seen folks get a promotion that felt hollow because they'd sacrificed their authenticity to get it. If a new role or a top grade means bending yourself into someone you don't recognize, weigh whether it's a victory worth having. Link this to our general reading. You chose between paths with the Lovers, released what no longer served you with the Ten of Swords, and opened yourself to swift new messages in the Eight of Wands. Now the Six of Wands brings you the applause after that transition. Maybe you've just wrapped up a project that felt torturous to finish, and now the world is noticing your effort. Or perhaps you let go of a study habit that was burning you out, and suddenly you're breezing through materials you used to dread. That swan energy from before still nudges you to glide gracefully. Don't let success catapult you into overdrive. Celebrate kindly, savor the moment, and let yourself exhale. At the same time, the hat you saw in the tea leaves is nudging you into a fresh role. In the office, it might be leader, mentor, or expert. In school, maybe you become tutor, group coordinator, or simply the person everyone trusts to explain things clearly. Embrace that title, even if you're not feeling all-knowing yet. Wearing a new hat can shift your posture, your confidence, and how people show up for you. Try it out. Next time someone asks for help, say, "Sure, I'd be happy to walk you through this," instead of hedging. Notice how stepping into that role invites more responsibility and more respect. As you glide through May, keep asking yourself, what does winning look like to me in a way that aligns with my heart? Who are the people I trust to celebrate with me, and who can I forgive then kindly let go? How can I let my inner swan's grace carry me through deadlines and exams instead of stress? And when opportunities flood in, as they will with that Eight of Wands momentum, which train am I choosing to board? This is your time to bask in well-deserved recognition while staying anchored in the love and loyalty that have protected you all along. When the applause rises, let it fill you with gratitude rather than pressure. And remember, Sagittarius, you're not just racing toward the next milestone. You're here to enjoy every single step, knowing that you're eternally safe and endlessly supported. May your victories taste of both pride and tenderness, and may you wear your new hat with joy. Moving on, let's take a look at the opportunities surrounding your personal and spiritual growth. Your self-care wisdom oracle card is Feelings, and the tarot card is Six of Pentacles. The Six of Pentacles often shows up when the universe is balancing the scales of generosity and gratitude. In personal terms, you might find yourself in the role of helper, offering time, advice, or tangible support to friends, family, or even strangers. Picture tutoring a classmate who's struggling, volunteering at a community garden, or being the shoulder someone leans on late at night. You feel that Sagittarian urge to share what you know, to spread the sunshine you carry. But flip the coin, and you may also be on the receiving end. Maybe a mentor shows you a shortcut you never knew, or someone gifts you a small treasure that reminds you how valued you are. I remember a friend of mine who always funded every group dinner because she loved hosting, until one night a coworker surprised her with a handmade card and cupcakes. That simple act gave her more joy than any restaurant feast ever did. So here's your question. Where in your life are you pouring out energy and forgetting to refill your own cup? And where might you be too proud to accept help when it's offered? For some of you, this will feel like a nudge to set firmer boundaries. Maybe stop saying yes to every favor and save that time for soul-nourishing practices. For others, it'll be an invitation to receive more fully, allowing yourself to be guided, supported, and uplifted by people who truly believe in you. Combine this with our gentle oracle, feelings, whispering that healing begins when you allow yourself to feel. You might be used to charging ahead, using logic and planning to get through tough days. But the sweetest medicine right now is to slow down and let your heart speak. Imagine sitting with a cup of tea and journaling without censorship, or letting tears come when a song catches you off guard. Maybe you've been stuffing down anxiety about a life shift. Remember that wave you felt with the Eight of Wands? Instead of analyzing every next step, give yourself permission to simply feel the excitement, the fear, or even the exhaustion. One sad client I worked with used to skip her own birthday celebrations because she didn't want to admit she felt lonely sometimes. When she spent 15 minutes on her patio naming each feeling, joy, loneliness, hope, it unlocked a well of compassion she hadn't tapped in years. Here's where these two cards blend their wisdom. As you give and receive in the world, let your own emotions guide the flow. If you're offering support while your heart is bruised, it's okay to pause and tend to your own wounds first. If you're waiting for someone else to step up, notice the emotion under that waiting. Is it patience, insecurity, or hope? By feeling deeply, you learn when to extend a hand and when to hold one open for yourself. Think back to the Swan Oracle from our general reading. Grace comes when you find your flow. This is that flow in action, balancing generosity with self-nurture and strength with softness. Link it back to the general theme. You chose wisely at the start of May. You released what no longer served you, and you surged forward. Now you're invited to ground that momentum in real, heartfelt exchange. Remember the hat we saw in the tea leaves? You're stepping into a new role, perhaps as a healer, a coach, or simply someone who leads with authenticity. Whether you apply this to your personal life, leaning into self-care, opening up to friends and family, or to your spiritual path, seeking out rituals, meditation, or energy work, you get to decide which version of you needs this balancing act most right now. Let me give you an example of how this might play out. Say you've been running a support group or leading a workshop. You love guiding others, but you've noticed you're running on empty. The Six of Pentacles would say, ask for a co-facilitator, or let people bring snacks next time so you don't foot the whole bill. The Oracle feelings would add, check in with how you feel about sharing this burden. Are you scared that if you ask for help, you'll look weak? If you pause and feel that fear, you'll see it's just an echo of old stories, not an absolute truth. Then you can reach out, name your need, and let someone step in. That simple act shifts you from lone warrior to community leader, from burnout to sustainable joy. Or perhaps on your spiritual path you've been devoting an hour every morning to meditation, but lately it's felt mechanical. The Six of Pentacles might encourage you to swap some of that time for mentoring someone who's new to the practice. Teaching is a form of giving that also enriches your own understanding. The Oracle Feeling card would remind you to notice how your heart swells when you guide their first breathwork session. That swelling is your cue. This exchange is exactly what your soul is craving. As May unfolds, keep circling back to these prompts. Am I balanced in what I give and receive? Where are my emotions pointing me toward deeper healing? How can I claim my new hat as someone who leads with both generosity and gentleness? Your growth this month isn't just about taking action. It's about feeling each step of the journey, so your spirit stays buoyant and your heart stays open. If you lean into this dance of giving, receiving, and feeling, you'll find your inner light shining even brighter, and you'll create ripples of healing in every corner of your world. Overall, I'm feeling a real sense of spacious possibility opening up for you in these first 2 weeks of May, like you've been handed a new script and are being invited to write the first few pages yourself. There's the echo of a big choice that's been resting on your mind, the kind that pulls your heart in two directions. But once you let go of what was weighing you down, you'll find momentum kicking in fast. Imagine Clark Kent stepping out of a phone booth. Cloak off, cape catching the breeze, ready to swoop in and rescue life's quieter dreams. Maybe in late April you felt torn between a steady gig that felt safe and a creative spark that kept whispering your name. By letting go of what no longer felt right, perhaps ending a work project that had drained you or closing a chapter in a friendship, you create the space for fresh energy to flood in. I've seen folks mail in their resignation letter on a Monday, and by Wednesday receive 3 unexpected invitations: a podcast interview, a collaboration offer, even a trip to a retreat they thought was beyond reach. What if releasing one thing actually unlocks 10 new doors? There's also this beautiful guide nudging you to soften your heart as you move forward. Picture someone gliding across a pond, smooth on the surface, paddling like crazy beneath it. You might be hustling hard behind the scenes, but the real magic comes when you pause, trust your intuition, and let grace steer your steps. I remember a friend who'd been frantically pitching her freelance services. When she switched to simply sharing her story over coffee, clients started finding her instead of the other way around. Where could a gentler approach serve you better than sheer force? Along with that, you're slipping on a new hat, a fresh role that might feel a little too big in the beginning, but will grow on you fast. Maybe you're moving from student to teacher, from junior partner to project lead, or from friend to everyone to community organizer. I once watched a quiet engineer swap spreadsheets for lecture slides, and within weeks, she was the go-to mentor in her company. What title have you been shy to claim, even just around the house? Try saying it out loud and notice how your shoulders shift. On the relationship front, you might still be carrying a few scabs from past hurts, standing with your guard up as if you're waiting for another blow. But there's a current asking you to lower that drawbridge, just a crack, to let kindness in. You could be surprised how quickly someone meets you halfway when you give them a chance. Think of a colleague who always seemed standoffish until you offered genuine praise. Next thing you know, you're swapping weekend plans. Where in your love life or friendships are you waiting for proof of loyalty when it might already be there, just behind the walls you've built? When it comes to your work or studies, the vibe is victory. You'll catch people turning to you for answers, applauding your insights, or simply patting you on the back for showing up. Maybe you'll see your name listed in credits, or get that grade you barely dared hope for. And even if a few voices circle around telling you you're not enough, you're surrounded by more allies than you realize. There's a study group rooting for you in the library, a boss who remembers your birthday, a classmate texting you a good luck meme. Who's in your corner, and how can you lean on them when deadlines loom? On a deeper level, there's a balance to find in giving and receiving. You may have been that friend who always hosts movie nights, or that mentor who never says no. This month asks you to notice when your own tank is running low, and to allow others the gift of pouring back in. Healing truly begins when you honor what you feel, when you let the tears come, or the laughter, without judgment. I guided one SAG client to swap an evening of people-pleasing for a solo bath with a journal, and she emerged feeling more connected to her dreams than she had in months. All of this threads together under the blessing of your personal mantra: I am committed to living my best life. Say it every morning as you rise. Let it echo whenever fear whispers, "Not enough." And watch how your actions start to align with that promise. You're being asked to step into roles that might feel new, to trust that endings are actually beginnings in disguise, and to lean into a rush of creative energy that could change everything. As these days of May roll out, remember that you're never racing alone. Even when the pace picks up, there's a safety net of friends, mentors, and that divine spark within you that can never be harmed. Keep your values front and center. Choose projects that make your heart sing. Choose relationships that let you shine. Choose self-care that feels like a hug for your soul. I see you standing tall, a little battle-worn, but shining with a fierceness that only comes from surviving your own storms. You're here to break old patterns, to claim new victories, and to do it all with a softness that surprises you. This is your moment to step forward boldly and gently at the same time. Trust that grace will carry you, that every ask for help will be met with love, and that the next surge of opportunity is waiting to be seized. Go ahead and wear your new hat, take that leap, and know with every breath that you're exactly where you belong. Did this reading give you clarity? If so, please like and subscribe.